All right. Let's have a talk about this.
All right. All right, folks. Well, welcome back to the Covey Connection as we talk all things Texas. And there's certainly a lot going on this week in Texas politics. I'm your host, David Covey, and I'm joined here with Kevin Steele.
Hey,
Kevin,
sir, how are you?
very good. Very good. Well, there's a lot in the news today.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get into this thing. It's a kind of extraordinary. I don't know about you. It's kind of extraordinary to see some of the moves of the president. I was surprised he won the election. And then I was even more surprised at how rapidly he came out with several new twists and turns, even on the very liberal, background that he had to begin with, right? But I was really shocked at this student loan forgiveness question and today's announcement on student loan forgiveness. Give me your thoughts on that. So if you're the average member in Tarrant County, Texas, right, or Lubbock County, Texas, the average member of the Republican Party in one of these locations, are you in favor of this student loan forgiveness? And does it, in fact, cancel out the alleged benefits of this Inflation Reduction Act?
That's the question, Kevin. And here, I have talked to folks in Tarrant County and in Lubbock, even this morning as we've prepared to this response that there's an overwhelming backlash of a response to President Biden announcing this because, to be honest, most folks feel like the president is using this to buy votes before the November election. And let's be honest, if we look at him forgiving, if you will, this $10,000 for those that have made less than 125,000, these are folks who agreed and decided to go and trade their money for that education.
Yeah.
And so, what about all those folks that saved up and have paid their student loan? Shouldn't those who have paid at least 10,000 in student loan get a check for 10,000 because they had personal responsibility and paid for their own education? I think that this is clearly a measure by the president to reach out and reward his voting base and excite them, and even to get new votes as they come into the November election, hoping to hold the Senate and even a few seats in the House.
Got an extraordinary question for you. We've seen recently some memes by a very popular online YouTuber, Graham Allen, putting out this question about whether the Cheney and Clinton reign are over, and saying essentially to Texas conservatives, listen, you can win. It's not an unwinnable situation here. Is that the way you see it? I mean, I know I've heard you rev up Texas conservatives many times before. It's not a lost cause, is it?
It's not a lost cause, and I'm about as right as you can get. But sometimes it feels like you're hitting yourself into a brick wall and not making progress. But if you look back and consider exactly what you said, Liz Cheney, who continued to side with the Democrats and with the Clintons and Obama and with Biden, she has finally met her doom and is now no longer a factor in politics. And so I would say that is a wonderful example to show folks that just a few people can make a difference if you will get involved and continue to be consistent, and you can have a voice. And ultimately, for those folks that have bad policies, they will catch up with you when you side with those who are not your base and don't hold to your principles and keep to what you said when you were running for office.
Increasingly, it almost looks like Texas Republicans have had it with the age-old background, legacy policies. The Liz Cheneys of the world, the Mitt Romneys of the world, not any longer something that's a viable candidate, really, for folks of the ilk of most Texas Republicans.
Well, that's true. There's so much to be said, for those that compromise, they just lose the enthusiasm of their base. So maybe yes, they gain some swing voters, but if you lose that enthusiasm of your base, then what have you really gained? Now, one of the perplexing things in this whole model of what I'm saying about that is to look at someone who, to bring up John Cornyn's name. So John Cornyn is considered to be a little more moderate of a Republican, and yet he received more votes than the governor, Abbott. He received more votes than Trump. In fact, he received more Republican votes in the primary than any Republican candidate nationwide. So
Right.
there are perplexing differences in this model, and some folks like that just kind of break the norm. And then you got to figure out, what do you do with someone like John Cornyn?
Well, the booing what we heard at the recent what was that, APAC, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, the APAC and at the Republican state convention as well.
Yeah.
He received quite a booing, and I'm not against folks booing, but at some point, sit down, let the man have his say, and let's hear what he has to say. He is a sitting state senator, so
Yeah. Yeah.
that's kind of where we're left at. We're trying to figure out, you know how does someone who's considered a moderate and widely understood as that still get the votes? And I think a lot of that goes down to that Texans are looking at policies and they are evaluating candidates based on those policies. And so, but the folks like Liz Cheney, who publicly and continually sided with Democrats, they were very, very easy cannon fodder when it came to aiming conservative angst and anger at her and getting her out of office.
Right, right. Well put, man. Well put. The state of Texas and the governor personally has launched into this societal question that I guess perplexes me a little bit. The governor, seeing some of these cases around the country in which very young kids, younger than 7 years old in some cases, getting reassignment surgeries and some very serious implications for kids in getting some of these surgeries. And he asked his officials and agencies to investigate cases. Well, that turned into something of a big hubbub. More or less 2,500 of the CPS, or what we know as CPS in the state of Texas, over the past, well, since the beginning of the year, left the agency, and the governor is the brunt of their criticism. Makes me wonder if it plays into, and you've rightly put this like this, that politics, is coming right into this question, and what emerges is whether Governor Abbott can hold his seat, or if, in fact, as the Democrats have long wanted to do, they turn the state blue.
Well, that's exactly right. This governor's race is going to be the most watched governor race, I would say, in the country, and certainly is the most expensive governor's race in the history of governor's races. And so, Francis O'Rourke and his is coming on strong. He certainly knows how to fundraise, and in July he was able to raise $29 million. And so while he is not able to compete with the war chest that Governor Abbott has, upwards of 150 million, he is able to put a dent and to send a message. And so what Governor Abbott is left to do is to present his case as strongly as he can. And in some ways, I believe that the Republican primary for governor pulled the governor further right.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that was him siding with the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, after he issued an order or an opinion that puberty blockers and the these surgeries could be mutilation or child abuse, then the governor put out his directive to the Department of Family and Protective Services, which is Texas' version of CPS,
Right. Yes.
as you called out,
Mhm.
and basically had them begin to investigate those who were taking 12 or year old, 13, or even younger children and beginning to change their gender.
Well,
And I
aren't
think
these
this is
common sense concepts? Why isn't this happening in other places around the country? I guess is what comes to my mind.
this has gained some prominence. One, because it also has happened in Florida with Governor Ron
Yeah.
DeSantis, and so it gained national attention. And then also here in Texas, the Republican Party made it a legislative priority, actually, to stop uh, transitions for minors. And so basically, the governor is responding to that and to the pressure from the national pressure and being pulled further to the right in his primary by putting out this directive. And I think a lot of folks who maybe aren't as steeped in politics, this could connect with them as far as they don't understand why we're doing government paid transitions for young
Mhm.
children, maybe
Right.
wait until they're a certain age. And that's certainly where the governor wants to connect with.
Yes, exactly. And I know that you have galvanized Texas Republicans many times on being active, getting active, becoming a part of the process, even in terms of fundraising, because that really is crucial. But the Beto O'Rourke's of the world they have that kind of identity politics, mentality, and that really changes our great state in a big way if Beto O'Rourke were able to pull out some slim victory or something.
It is. And you'll see, keep an eye on Beto O'Rourke. He is going to try to focus on guns. He's going to try to focus
Mm.
on Uvalde,
Yeah.
on school safety, and saying Republicans are not doing anything in response to this. And on the other hand, Governor Abbott's going to be focused on the border. He's wildly popular when it comes to shipping illegal migrants to New York and Washington, D.C.
Hmm.
And so he'll try to keep the conversation on the border, and Beto O'Rourke will go with guns and COVID and some of the more social issues. Abortion certainly is going to be
Yeah.
a top conversation piece moving along. That will be a reoccurring theme.
Well, does Beto pick up any ground on this question of abortion, and then will he pick up Texas women voters on that level?
I think that the abortion has issue and the appearance of it banning abortions, although it does not ban all abortions, at least it's to the states to decide, and there will always be
Mhm.
some abortions allowed. But that perception has motivated a base for Beto O'Rourke that he would not have had, and some enthusiasm for volunteers. And so I think he's definitely picked up a voting block, especially among suburban women, who he really connects with on this issue, and they do vote. So I think that's definitely a issue that he's going to want to focus on and continue to talk about.
Wow, man, it is so great to talk with you. I feel like I understand the world after we have a conversation. Really appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you being here, Kevin, and having a great time. Hopefully, we can continue to get information out and have a good time while we do it.